Hey yo, what's good everyone? Welcome to my channel. This is Mauro and today we're gonna check out how did the Vikings discover North America. And this video is gonna be very interesting because after I reacted to the American Revolution, the first part by oversimplified, there was this little thing going on in the comment section because I also didn't know that the Vikings discovered America before Columbus. And I just realized it, I just learned it in the other video, but many of you already knew it. But you were commenting that wasn't really relevant for history because they didn't left behind a large impact like the Spaniards did or the English after America was discovered. But yeah, it's still good, I don't remember in school that they teach us about the Vikings discovering America before Columbus, or I wasn't paying attention, most probably. I wasn't really a good student, so it could be that as well. So this video is gonna explain it for us. In some comments you guys told me that there was like archaeological foundings in Michigan, in Canada. So let's see what they actually did. I actually don't know anything about Vikings. I just watched some episodes on the Netflix series, but I don't think those are really accurate. So after this video we're gonna check out some other videos to learn more about the history and culture of that population.
How did the Norse discover North America? I'm history with
Wow!
and I'm very happy.
Oh my god, that's crazy. We're gonna listen to, oh my god, come on. We're gonna check out this video and listen to this guy's accent. It's amazing. Oh my god.
Happy to announce that this video is being sponsored by the Great Courses Plus.
Oh, I love the Great
But a little
Courses.
bit more about them later on. So as you will know from my other videos, at the start of the 8th century, the Norsemen from Norway went over across the North Sea to the British Isles, to islands off the north of the Scottish coast like Shetland and Orkney, and later onto the Faroe Islands. And after that, quite by chance, they discovered that there was another island in the North Sea called Iceland. And after many voyages to Iceland, some were blown off course and came back.
Yeah, Icelandic people are like actual Vikings nowadays. Oh my god, I watched some video, I didn't react to any video. Yeah, I reacted to a video of Iceland, but it was like geography now. But I watched some other videos about the food that the Icelandic people is eating. And I still remember when Iceland, when was that? It was like 4 years ago, right, when Iceland did really well in the Euro Cup. And there was so many documentaries going on showing what Icelandic people would eat, how they would live, that they were also huge, they were like strong, eating food that makes you stronger. So yeah, they're like modern Vikings, we could say. I don't know, let me know if you agree with my statement.
With tales of yet another land out to the west. This, of course, being Greenland, being found by various figures during the 10th century. And after this had been settled, there were suddenly more tales of yet more land to the west and mysterious voyages of merchants being blown off course. And thanks to these stories, many men then set out to go and see them. And in this video, I'm going to look at the men who did indeed go west, further west, and who found the mainland of North America during the 11th century. Now, on Greenland there were two main settlements of Norse inhabitants, one in the east and one in the west and the eastern settlements. And in the western settlement there was born a very important figure for the rest of the story. Now we already know this man's name, Leif Erikson, because of course he is very famous for being the main Viking bloke, the main Norse bloke for discovering North America. Of course, we already know his father from the previous video. He was called Eiríkr hinn Ráði, or as we know him in the modern English tongue, Eric the Red. It means the same thing, but then in Old Norse. And in the previous video, which I will link up in the screen here, he was the man who essentially went over to Greenland and was the first one to start a successful colony on Greenland that lasted for several hundred years after his death. His son, however, has a similar name, and he is the famous Leif Erikson, and he was born on Iceland around the year 970, so about 18 years before his father made the very important over to Greenland, bringing both his son Leif and his wife over there as well. Now, of course, on Greenland, it wasn't really much of a colony at the time. There were a few hundred settlers, and Leif, when he came of age, decided he would place his skills, they would be better off going back to Norway. And so he goes back to Norway, where most of the inhabitants of Iceland and then Greenland, because most of the people who came to settle Greenland were Icelanders, because Iceland had been divided up. There was a lack of space on Iceland, so many of them went to Greenland. But now many of the young men from Greenland wanted something to do, and of course there were plenty of wars and booty to be gained back home in Scandinavia, not to mention the British Isles. So young Leif goes back to Norway. Now in Norway he finds the new faith, and he converts to Christianity, as many of the peoples at that time were doing.
Wow.
And as well, he becomes a
Vikings were
herdsman,
Christians.
so a warrior of the king at the time, who was Olaf Tryggvason, the first really successful Norwegian king to be Christian. There was, of course, other Christian Norwegian kings like Håkon den Gode, Håkon the Good, although Christianity hadn't really caught on at that time. And it's at this time that many of the Scandinavian kingdoms finally started to really become Christian. Denmark around 960, with various kings like Harald Bluetooth and Harald Klak, both Christian kings, tried to convert their population to Christianity. Norway also followed suit with Olaf Tryggvason around the year 995, making it the official religion of the country. And soon, Iceland, the lawgiver, had a huge debate about whether the nation, the Commonwealth there, should remain a pagan nation following the old gods or should become Christian. In the year 1000, the lawgiver decided on turning.
Yeah, this is really interesting because when you think about the Vikings, you always think about the Norse gods. So it's really interesting, this thing that he's telling us about they will convert to Christianity. Yeah, actually, I don't know anything about the Vikings, so yeah, I'm still learning everything now.
Turning the nation Christian. However, Greenland was still fairly pagan at this time. I'd like to read for you a little bit from The Edge of the World by Michael Pye. I've mentioned this book before, and I think the author really puts into very good words just the description of the period in question. So he writes, "The Norse were turning Christian almost everywhere, but in Greenland, in the hard winters when hunters didn't always return from the hunt, and those who came back caught very little, it was still quite usual to invite a little prophetess to tell the future and try magic to improve it. She'd come in black, jewels down her throat, with white gloves of catskin. She sat on a high chair stuffed with chicken feathers. She fed on a diet of hearts, and she listened to the magic songs, which even good Christians knew from their childhood. She took her time until she could hear, she said, the spirits summoned by the songs." So it was that on a mission for King Olaf Tryggvason of Norway that Leif Erikson sailed westward once again. But for the rest of our story, and for this brief moment leading away from Leif Erikson and his father Eric the Red, we need to look at another man, because Leif Erikson wasn't actually the first European, the first documented European, to see mainland North America. That honour goes to Bjarni Herjolfsson, who was an Icelandic merchant. Now he was on his way to Greenland when he was blown off course, and whilst he was blown off course after a few days out at sea, he actually saw land where there shouldn't have been any, because of course they thought this was the edge of the world, but suddenly there were wooded hills on his starboard side, and he could see obviously that there was now land further than Greenland. But rather strangely for a Norseman, as they were very curious, and this was seen to be a good quality in someone to have the right degree of curiosity, he did not make landfall and actually simply sailed back to Greenland by using the stars for his navigation. But he was able to tell the men and the women on Greenland about what he had seen. Amongst them, Leif Erikson, who was at that time trying to convert the population of Greenland. And just as his father Eric the Red, he was quite the keen explorer and wanted to go off in search of these new lands himself. I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about my sponsor, the Great Courses Plus. Now, the best way to describe the Great Courses Plus is like having a university at your fingertips for much the reduced price.
That's true.
Now, for fewer than 2 kidneys, you can actually afford to take many different courses on a whole range of different topics. Now, the Great Courses Plus are an on-demand video learning site with professors from Ivy League universities and linked to places like National Geographic and the Smithsonian, providing over...
Wow, that's crazy! Oh my god, I didn't know they also had the videos. Wow. I always listen to only the audiobooks of Great
10,000 lectures on anything from history through the arts, languages, photography, and even cooking, as well as more. I wouldn't be able to even fit it into a video, the amount of different kind of things that you can learn on there. Now, one series that I've really been enjoying is the History's Greatest Voyages of Exploration, which has a full episode on Leif Erikson and really helped me to make this video with some of the more niches of information in there, as well as his relatives' voyages to mainland North America after his death. So if you are enjoying this video, then I would highly recommend that you go over to the Great Courses Plus. There will be actually a free trial for my subscribers, which I'll mention at the end of this little promotion, for you to check this out. So you don't even have to pay anything, actually, just to check this out.
That's so cool.
As well as other explorers like Pythias the Greek or St. Brendan, the Irishman who went over the sea, some very interesting theories on him, as well as David Livingstone, some later ones, Ibn Battuta, and Zhuangzang, the Buddhist monk from China. So there's a huge range, even in just this course, and there are over 10,000 on the site as a whole. So I'm very happy to announce that you can now, all my subscribers, get a free trial, so you don't have to pay a penny, to try out some or many of these courses to widen your own understanding by clicking on the link in the description below, or by visiting, and I'll read this slowly, thegreatcoursesplus.com/historywithhilbert. So it's in the description below as well as on the screen if you want to type the URL. So please do go and check out the Great Courses Plus, because I think, like me, you'll really enjoy some of the stuff that's on there. After hearing Bjarni's tales of the lands to the west, Leif buys his ship and his crew, and he sets off with this in mind. He originally wanted to have his father, Eric the Red, to actually lead the voyage, because he was seen as being very lucky. But on the way to going down to the ship for the voyage, his horse fell on the wet, slippery stones that are very common in Greenland, and he fell and bruised, I think it's his foot that the saga of the Greenlanders said, and so he stayed at home, meaning that Leif would be the one to lead the expedition. And lead the expedition he would. Now, the first place that he came to was a land of flat rocks, and thus he called the land Helluland, which in Old Norse means the land of flat rocks.
Wow.
Now, it's thought that today this would be the area around Baffin Island, which on a map of North America is around there, and not too far from Greenland. So this would be the first place that he would have seen on mainland North America.
So it was in Canada.
The next land that he came to was covered in trees, and this would be very important for the Greenlanders, because on Greenland there were very few trees, and even on Iceland it became an issue very quickly that there was too much deforestation, not enough timber, which was very important for the Norse people there, which is why many Icelanders went to Norway to cut down trees, and many of those then were blown off course, which is why they ended up on Greenland to begin with. And as a result of the wooded land's nature, he names the area Markland, land of the forests. Now, the third place that he encounters, and this is thought to be maybe the coast of Labrador in modern day Canada, which to this day is incredibly wooded and would make sense if he's travelling down the coast from Baffin Island, which is thought to be Helluland, the land of flat stones. And the third land that he comes to, he called Vinland, which has several different etymologies, and this is probably the most famous of the Norse lands in mainland North America.
That sounds pretty cool.
Although perhaps the most famous story, and I'm going to make a few more videos about this because it's a very interesting topic of debate, is that it means the land of wine, after Tyrkir, who was like his foster father. He was a German slave initially, found that there were some sort of berries, possibly grapes growing on vines, and he was found drunk on these, and so they named the land after these vines or these grapes, Vinland, the land of wine. And this is really where we think possibly Newfoundland is Vinland. Although Vinland is rather an ambiguous term, it's possible that the Vikings and the Norse...
Yeah, we definitely gotta react to some videos of Newfoundland. I remember reacting to some Canadian videos, and many Canadians asked me to react to Newfoundland, and there's many cool things to check out. So if you guys have any interesting video about Newfoundland, we're gonna do it.
Called all the land to the west of Greenland Vinland, and that there were several different Vinland. Or that, as was the case in Old Norse and Icelandic, it wasn't a specific name for a certain place, but rather a common noun. So just anywhere where there were grapes or vines growing was a Vinland, rather than one specific geographic location. But I'm going to explore this in a lot more detail, as well as some of the other Norse voyages to America, and why they eventually decided not to colonize and settle North America, and which is why it ultimately became lost to Europeans for almost 500 years. But thank you very much for watching this video
really nice.
About Leif Erikson and the journeys to mainland North America. As I said in the video, I will be making some more videos about the Norse interaction, exploration and colonization on the Western Islands. So I think I'll make a video about the actual colonization and settlement on Iceland, as I promised quite a while ago, then a similar kind of thing on Greenland and the different challenges they faced there and how they overcame these challenges, as well as some of the other voyages to mainland North America which really capture the imagination. And perhaps after that, the inevitable question of, well, if they'd reached North America, why didn't they colonize it? You know, why this whole land that could have been theirs, and they left hardly any traces at all. But I think that will be a very interesting topic. Now, I would like to...
Yeah, I'm sure it would be a really interesting topic. I'm gonna stop the video right here because it's already over, and if you want me to do more reactions for this channel that it looks really interesting, please let me know down in the comments. At least 50 likes and we're gonna do a reaction of why they didn't colonize North America. And I don't know, I don't really know. I mean, I would guess maybe, you know, when Columbus went to America, they found so many new materials. They were even maybe more, how to say, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that much about Vikings, but probably the Europeans, like the Southern Europeans at that time, like in the Middle Ages, in the late Middle Ages, probably they were more developed, so they realized better the potential that land had. I mean, that's my opinion, but I don't know if that's true, so don't take me too seriously. So yeah guys, this is it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, share it with your friends, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and I will see you next time.